This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this StockBox interview.
Well, today I'm joined by Hewie Rattray, Chief Executive of the London Bitcoin Company. Hewie, it's great to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So you recently updated the market on your gold hedging strategy, including a site visit to the Chance gold mine in Western Australia. Before we get into the project and that work, can you quickly remind viewers of the strategic thinking again behind the move into gold and why you see it as the right approach for adding diversification beyond Bitcoin alone?
Yeah. So about 5 weeks ago, we took a call option out on this prospect in Western Australia called Chance. The reason being, I think, we look at where we're at with the Bitcoin space and the macro environment, and we realized very quickly, I think, that we needed to have another narrative going within the stock. Our board has great expertise in the gold exploration industry. This is an early stage exploration in a proven gold district. It has, around it has very historic high grade production. So it looked like what could potentially be something quite promising. David, our chairman's been out there inspecting the rock samples. They're in the lab now, and we've extended the call option, and we'll make a decision on that when the assays come back on those results in the very near future. I think just to extend on what I was saying at the beginning of my answer, it's really important that we have multiple catalysts running from within the company, and gold is where the board is most comfortable, and gold has this kind of asymmetric thing in common with Bitcoin that makes sense for us to be operating that two-pronged strategy.
Definitely, I understand that. Yeah, so moving on to the project again itself. It's next to that Copperhead gold mine, which is huge. It's historical producer, so there's that modern day angle for the upside. Can you tell us a bit more about the site visit and the sort of potential the team saw in that sampling?
Yeah, I mean, it sits so close to that, right? Which is like 2.6 million ounce gold mine. It's a huge area. And the samples have come out. We've had, Jeremy, one of our board members, lives out there. David's been out there for the past few weeks. So, they're heavily focused on trying to realize if this is going to become a very, very real part of the company for us. Aside from that, we're looking at doing some American plays in this very same industry as well. We're looking at Nevada and California and what the potential is out there. We've got people effectively looking for prospects that we could effectively pick up quite cheaply. And then, it's really about, I think the struggle in the past few months with a lot of Bitcoin treasury companies is news flow, right? Yeah. And we want to have activity going on within the company. And whilst Trump is waging war on the whole world and Bitcoin is, the most risk on asset for most people, we have to understand that we have to make a play outside of it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not bullish Bitcoin. We're still big believers that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. It's just on the time horizon that the small cap markets demand. We know that we have to operate somewhere else while we wait for that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And gold does look like a well-timed asset at the moment, obviously, with prices rising so much over the last year or so.
It makes a lot of these prospects economically viable, right? And I think we are bullish on gold for the next 12 months, especially with what's going on. And these things which were previously just unobtainable, have become very promising now.
Yeah. So in terms of next steps, I understand you're targeting high-grade drill intercepts at Chance that could increase the value of the tenements. Does that mean further exploration work and then maybe drilling at some point later this year?
Potentially, or do a royalty deal or something like that. We understand that, we potentially want to monetize something quite quickly and not see it all the way through to production, but that will completely depend on what comes back from the labs and stuff like that. Like, I think there's a multitude of options with a early exploration project on how you can monetize it early or how you can get co-financing or whatever. And, I don't think the plan would be ultimately for us to take full responsibility. Like, if we find something, bring in other partners, sell the license, flip it on or whatever. Like I said, there's a multitude of ways that this could be monetized in the near future.
Great, yeah. And you also touched on that new US opportunity you're pursuing with the plans to stake ground in Nevada and California. Can you tell us a bit more about the thinking there? Is that more just blue sky stuff, or is that more historic projects that may be economic in the current environment?
Again, I think David, particularly when he's choosing these sites, he thinks very logically about their location and the jurisdiction, and Nevada makes a lot of sense, and so does California in that respect. Hoping we're going to Bitcoin Vegas again at the end of next month, and I'm going to do a talk there, and obviously that's in Nevada, so hoping to perhaps go and have a look myself, or go with David, or David goes and has a look himself, and kind of tie it in with that trip. I think important for our US listing plans is that we have a specific narrative in America, which, Wall Street guys will understand, and they understand, that jurisdiction or those jurisdictions very well, and maybe not so much Western Australia. So yeah, we're essentially playing into, our future investors' hands by doing something like that.
Understood. Yeah. And finally, following on from that, are there any updates on the Bitcoin side of the business you want to go through, whether the treasury strategy or the miner rollout that's ongoing?
Yeah, so we're still, whilst the market is going in this kind of small correction phase, we're actively looking at new mining equipment, and lots comes onto the market at times like this because some miners are essentially throwing in the towel. So we're hoping, we're just deciding, where is the best way to allocate some funds. We obviously want to hold onto the Bitcoin as much as possible, right? And we want to find alternative means to kind of acquire new mining machines and, operate and grow that side of the business. So I think in the near future, I think we're going to be focused on this gold play very much.
Yep.
And hopefully it becomes a big part of the company. But as always, we stick with the treasury business. It's the foundational part of the company alongside the mining business. That's our main revenue driver. The treasuries, are kind of massive safety net that we've got. And yeah, we're kind of happy with the position now. And, I think myself and the board are so happy to be operating actively again. And, I think everyone's got this new lease of energy behind them, with the market as volatile as it is, we know this is now the time that you have to start operating, right? This is the time where you can get really, really well rewarded.
Great. Well, thanks again for joining us today, Hewie, and I look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.